I am sure that you must have heard the saying, no risks, no rewards. But if the risks are calculated and thought through, then the rewards are certainly better. As Indians, what do we want? That our hard-earned money, if invested somewhere, should give us great returns. With this thought, I, Abhimanyu Kak, welcome you to the Samco Mutual Fund universe, and I'm in conversation with the Chief Investment Officer of Samco Mutual Fund, Mr. Umesh Kumar Mehta. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
So, Umeshji, momentum is a very key word for Samco Mutual Fund. I've seen a lot of conclaves also wherein you guys have spoken about momentum. I think it's a great platform today. We are having this conversation. I'd request you to explain us what momentum is all about when it comes to Samco Mutual Fund.
Yeah. So when we were doing research, which investment factor generates highest possible return? So momentum stood out from the rest. MSCI has done a research globally across 200 years, across asset classes. Momentum as a factor generates 25x return when we look at the world MSCI World Momentum Index, and the MSCI World Index has generated 11x. So the difference is huge. In India also, momentum factor has generated a lot of alpha for investors. The buy and hold NIFTY 50 has generated 15x return in last 20 years, and momentum index has generated 36x return. So the difference is huge. So therefore momentum makes a lot of money. Why momentum works? Because intuitively it is very hard for human beings to buy a stock which is outperforming or a stock which is up at 52-week high. Therefore we can't do this, and that is why this space is less crowded, and therefore those very few people who are practicing momentum as a factor are making a lot of money. So momentum is truly a great alpha generating strategy for investors in the long term.
If I say this, that people who invest in momentum have a big heart, because it grows rapidly, it kind of falls also, but then it grows again. Is it correct to say that for the longer run, it's a great thing to do?
Yeah. So when we look at certain discrete period when markets are falling or correcting, momentum stocks might be falling more. But that is how, as we as active fund manager, we do hedging. But eventually if investors want higher return in the overall scheme of thing, then I think momentum stands out, given that what MSCI research shows that.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of relatability when it comes to cricketers and people who invest in Samco Mutual Fund. Why do I say that? Because I've seen your advertisements on TV. You guys are obsessed with cricket, and the linkage that you do between mutual fund and cricket, I think it's phenomenal. Having said that, there is a very interesting thing that I read, which is called Basra, which is called batting average plus strike rate aggregate. Now, earlier we used to see a player who scores the maximum runs was the most respected one, most popular, and used to be the MVP. But times are changing. Considering this T20 league, if I take that as an example of Nicholas Puran, he's ranked at number 8 when it comes to the number of runs that he has scored. But because he has scored on a strike rate of 200 and above, he is the most valuable player, or else he was before the break came. Now, how do you link this to momentum is what I want to know from you.
Exactly. See, momentum is nothing but Basra. See, cricket has also evolved from 5-day to 1-day to T20. And similarly, the players who are hitting the fastest run are today most valued player. Similarly, in stock market also, the stocks that can deliver fastest return are the ones we call as momentum, and ultimately investors also want that. Like investing journey has also evolved, cricketing has also evolved. So basically momentum are stocks that outperform, stocks that are making 52-week highs, stocks that are running faster than the rest of the market. These are momentum. So for them, you require a roaring bull market. If there is a bull market, these stocks will do far better than the rest of the crowd. But at times when things are bad or when markets are sideways, correcting, volatile, these players will not perform. So if there is a bull market, they are going to do far better than the rest. So this is what I think momentum, and momentum has a long-term huge compounding opportunity. So given an opportunity, if there is a bull market, momentum is going to do far well.
So this was about Basra that I really was inquisitive to know about. But talking about the new fund offer that Samco Mutual Fund is offering, which is in large and mid-cap investments, what is the strategy? What is the offer? A little more explanation is what we need right now.
Correct. So let me quickly brief you. Large and mid-cap NFO invest in top 250 stocks in India. So our strategy is to identify stocks that are in momentum, because momentum has alpha generating opportunity. So in this 250 space, we will identify stocks that are in momentum. That's point number one. Rest of the industry, everywhere, people are not following momentum as a strategy. When we look at the CID, their official document, what is their investment style. So we will be the fund wherein we will use momentum as a strategy to identify stocks. Second, when markets are not in good condition, that's a time when markets are volatile or correcting, we will do hedging so that we protect the downside. So these are the two important ingredient differentiating strategy that we will use in our large and mid cap fund. Currently that is about to open on 5th of June.
5th of June is a very important date for this mutual fund that is going to open by Samco Mutual Fund. Of course, this is to all of you out there. But Umeshji, coming back to you, what is unique in this? As I understand, you mentioned hedging. I would like you to throw more light on that. What is more unique when it comes to this mutual fund?
Yeah, so we will use our proprietary C.A.R.E momentum strategy, which has 4 factors to filter stocks. Number one is cross-sectional momentum, absolute momentum, revenue momentum, and earnings momentum. So these are the 4 factors we will identify stocks. Once these stocks are identified, we will create a portfolio, and so long as the bull market is there, we will keep on holding those stocks. But if market turns, and someday it can, whether it is a beginning of a bear market or a beginning of a correction or market turns volatile, that's the time we will hedge our portfolio. So currently in industry, people are not hedging. What we have seen in last 10 years of data when we check the portfolio. So because we are following momentum as a strategy which no other players are following, by default we will also have to hedge, because momentum has got huge variations, but at the same time if the stock can run up fast, also it can correct or fall equally fast, and therefore momentum as a strategy requires hedging, which we will do. So this is what uniquely that we will do in our fund that we are going to launch.
Amazing, excellent. So it will be correct to say this, that the more people want to take risks when it comes to momentum and to put their money in those kind of momentum investments, it is very imperative for them to have a safety net called hedging, so that even if it drops, there is a certain amount of safety that a person has while the person has invested. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Okay, so moving on, one more thing I would want to know, that how important it is for any investor who wants to put money in Samco large and mid cap mutual fund, how important it is to invest now?
See, when we look since last 6-7 months, market has been falling or correcting. So the broader market or the large and mid cap TRI index is down by 6%, but momentum factor or the momentum index is down by 18%. So when the momentum factor is not working or momentum factor has corrected so sharply, that's the time for investors to get in, because in long term momentum has generated a lot of alpha and will generate a lot of alpha, but as of today momentum factor has corrected heavily, and that's the time for investors to get in. So that's point number one. Point number two is markets are mean reverting. When markets are mean reverting, we mean currently the ratio of momentum to large caps is it's sitting at that long term average. So there is every likelihood that the time has come that momentum factor now might again start working, and if it starts working, the upside will be huge. So that is why investors, given this time, given this current scenario, this NFO makes a lot of sense, because momentum as a factor is corrected, the ratio is also about to turn, and momentum index is also down by 18% in the last 6-7 months. So this offers a compelling opportunity for investors to invest.
Excellent. While we did get a lot of information from you about momentum, about the new fund offer by Samco Mutual Fund, and also got a complete idea of large and mid cap investments and why hedging is so important. At this point of time, I really need to ask you this. The people who are investing for the first time in Samco Mutual Fund, what do they need to keep in mind while they invest in this fund?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So just like cricket, one needs to have 1 or 2 players who are strike players, right? If they have an opportunity, they will score the fastest run. Similarly, in stock market, investors need to have 1 or 2 funds. During bull market, those funds can perform far better, and momentum is that strategy, that factor if bull market, whenever that bull market is there, roaring bull market, momentum funds will do far better. So that overall in the scheme of things, the investors will be able to score higher. But the side effect of momentum is what? When markets are correcting, when markets are volatile, so that's the time momentum will underperform. And that underperformance should not be seen as a permanent underperformance, but that's a temporary phase in the overall scheme of things. Momentum in the long term, if investors want to get that high return, these phases they will have to digest and stomach and live with it. So this is how one needs to look at momentum as a strategy. As an investor, if they are investing in Samco, they need to have they should look Samco as that strike player, one or two strike players that have the capacity to take the overall return of investors at a respectable level.
Excellent, fantastic. To the ones, those who are watching, to the ones, those who are thinking to invest, there are 3 P's that I could take out from this conversation: positivity, possibility, and patience. And rest, if your risks are calculated, the rewards are going to be amazing. Thank you so much, Umeshji, for your time. It was a great conversation with you. Until next time, my name is Abhimanyu Kak. You take care of yourself and keep investing.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.